It's Doodlebud. We're checking out a logo that you may or may not be familiar with. I wasn't familiar with them until they reached out to me. It stands for Xezo. So this was a brand new brand. I've never even heard of this. So they reached out. So they're like, my channel want to send me something. Before they do that, I got to check them out first, make sure everything's on the up and up. It looked like they were all on the up and up. So I said, you know what? I gotta see what you're all about. So let's open this up and see what they sent me. Box, as you can see, opens like this. Haven't ever seen that before. This is their Incognito. Again, got to look at the cap band here. So I got Xezo. This is the Incognito limited edition. They seem to do this with their pens, is run everything on a limited edition. This is number 122 out of 500. Obviously, it looks like it was made in 2020. What we got here is a brass-bodied pen, full metal pen. We got platinum trim, so 99.9% platinum plated parts as well. And we got some quite nice detail. It's sort of tough to catch under the camera. I'll do some glam shots. I even busted out the microscope. But this is engraved into the brass body. That's their diamond pattern. And then you can see it's quite well done. Like, this is really nice. So we got the stripes here and then engraving in between. The pattern really looks nice. It catches light and reflects it all over the place. And with the color you got on here, this is their zinc green. There's no zinc in it. They just call it zinc green. And they are coated with a lacquer. Now, the lacquer apparently is sourced in Japan and applied with many coats, of course, dried in between, and then finished off with some clear. And been using this pen here for about 2 weeks. Maybe it's been a little bit more. Can't remember. It has performed absolutely wonderfully. The overall fit and finish, the assembly, machining, all those good things is absolutely fantastic. And then we got some black enamel here, or I should say lacquer on the back. So these parts are all nice. Everything's polished and feels great. Nothing's out of alignment. All these rings and bands, everything is good. These are all engraved as well. I'll show you close-ups of that. So that's a nice detail. Every single one's done that way. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. You don't know what it's going to be like till you get it. Let's show you the pen. The cap unscrews in 1.5 turns. So that's quite nice. Fits in the hand quite nicely. I have a large hand. So of course, if you want something more, you just post it and it fits in there quite nicely like that. So I'm going to give you some other details, close-ups, writing sample, all that stuff. Let me just show you a few other things that came inside the packaging. Along with the pen, you get a little card that gives you information about it as well, just their quality control. So these are all individually checked before they're sent out. So that's a nice detail. Here is their little international guarantee card, as it shows here. And same thing, this was checked, shows you the date it was checked out, and it's got a 3-year warranty from the sale of the product. So that's nice. You know, check out Xezo.com for more details. Comes with a pack of cartridges for international standard size. You can do black or blue or halfy. And then in there too, there is also a polishing cloth to polish up the pen, which is quite handy. I used this to actually polish the lens here on the camera before I got started, and following up with this little pen pouch. So let's just give you some sizes. Overall, the pen like this is 138 millimeters long. And then if you go ahead and post it, that is 156. Now I checked the site. I check all the things and measurements to make sure everything is good. They said the weight of this pen is like 40 grams. It's not. It's 48.7. That is with the cartridge installed and you know, a full fill. That doesn't account for the 8.7 discrepancy, but it's 48.7 grams. As far as the body itself, this is 32.2, which leaves 16.5 in the cap. Some other dimensions you might want to know. So then the diameter of the body, the main body of the pen, the widest is about 12.5 or so, somewhere around there. And on the cap, you're looking at about 14 millimeters. The section, the enamel part, so the black part here to the bottom of the threads, that runs about 20 millimeters, had an extra 25 millimeters to go down to here. And there's a taper. It starts at about 11 millimeters up here, and then just below about 8.8, 8.9 here at the bottom. Speaking of the threads, these are very nice, not sharp at all. They work extremely well. It does not bother me. So if you like to grip a little bit higher, there's no issues whatsoever. And it's got the little flare out at the bottom. It is a little bit more of a narrow. I mean, for my hand, you know, I got a big hand, so it is a little bit smaller, but it's comfortable nonetheless. Let's get into some other bits. It's a cartridge converter pen. These threads come off quite nice, and there's all these little details. So they say the parts are German made, that the parts here are German made. The paints and lacquers are sourced out of Japan, and then there is some final assembly and QC done in the US. So I was quite intrigued. Like, I've never heard of this brand before. I looked quickly. There was a couple reviews out there. but not a whole lot. So I was, intrigued even more because as I'm going through the pen, it seems quite nice. You got your international standard converter here, has Germany on there, the Xezo brand, and little things like this. So here we have metal threads, and we got some plating. You want to preserve that, so that's a full brass body pen. But in here, what they did is just where the threads start. So another good thing, the threads don't go all the way to the end, which is nice. You don't want that. You don't want them to blow out. So that's a nice little detail there because it also has to fit over top of that. That's the other reason. But they didn't lacquer the threads because you don't want that because it's just going to chew up the paint and kind of turn to goo. So that's all nice. And then you can see the threads spin really good. And it goes on there. It's got a thread stop. So you don't have to worry about the thread stopping you from threading. There is a proper thread stop. So that's a good job as well. If we see down the body a little bit, nothing too much to see, but you can see the brass body construction, and it looks like the focus just isn't going to work. Okay, there we go. You can see that edge down there. Looks like this is probably like pressed into the body or something like that for a final fitment. Tough to quite, to tell without ripping it all apart. But yeah, construction machining is all good. It is fitted. This looks like a number 5, but I think it's probably a Xezo nib. Let me show you a little comparison. So they don't explicitly say what brand nib, and there's a lot of nibs that come out of Germany, so pick your poison. Could be Schmidt-Bach or Xezo, really. But this is my Platypus pens, the 3D printed pen out of Australia there. So this is the Platypus Model 1, and this has a Xezo number 5 nib. And so they look identical. The scroll work there, all those types of things. So this one just has the gold plate versus the standard. So that is my guess. I could be wrong, but I am just guessing. So again, looking closer, you got these threads that have paint on them, right? So you got the brass here with the lacquer. Then you go into the cap, and we're not going metal on metal. There is a plastic cap liner in here. Oh, black contrast. No, it's not happening. But anyways, this is a plastic liner that's in here. So that isn't going to chew out the coating on there as well. Now you might wonder, oh, that could rip the threads out. No, if you put a thread stop in the bottom like they did there, you're not going to have that problem. So you're not going to over torque it. It feels quite nice, and yeah, nothing's going to get scratched up or chewed up. And this is also just the whole design here is helping when it comes to sealing. When it comes to sealing, this pen has been fantastic. It has not hard started or dried up at all. I mean, not even once. It's just written right away. As long as there's ink in it, it's been writing well. The clip on here, you can see it's got this main anchor point and then this point here in the back. It does make for a fairly stiff clip. So I'm not a pen in the shirt pocket kind of guy. But if you are, maybe that would be too stiff for you. I don't know. It's got that lip up, so I'm sure it'd be fine. But it is a fairly stiff clip. But now you know it's in there quite secure. Just a standard black lacquer finial here in the end. As you can see what's going on here. There's cap bands and all those stuff. But what I'm going to do now is just do some glam shots. You can see this thing's all shiny and fancy. So let's let you have a good look at the pen, some nice shots of it, and then we'll get into more details. So I said I was going to use the microscope. I did, and then, I don't know, the video file got all corrupt, and I don't feel like going back and do it again. So sorry about that, but let me get you as close as I can with this camera. And all I'm just trying to do is just show you the fine detail here in that engraving. There, that's a decent focus, but it's a very, very good job. So we got those nice smooth bits that aren't engraved, and then we got the engraving in the middle there. So I'm going to flash something on the screen here. There are some great German manufacturers out there who do this type of work. Now, I'm not sure if this is them, but that is a very, very good job. That is quality engraving that's getting done. And when they say, that's German bits, I can believe it. That's a phenomenal. This could be, of course, be done anywhere, but that is a very good quality job on all this engraving on the pen. So that does cost money. That the pen here retails on their site for $190. Yeah, you pay for those types of details. That's all throughout the body engraved. That's a lot of time, whether it's on like a CNC machine or the custom built stuff I showed you there on the screen. And then you got all the lacquering that goes on here and clear coating and polishing and stuff. There's some QC. Whatever. If a pen costs $10 more than a pen that isn't gone through that step, I'd in the price. So all those little things start to add up. But I think the price seems fair. Again, I had a conversation about this the other day. It's tough for me to talk about that, but I am starting to put the pieces together here. The pen and seeing all the detail, they do add up, but everything is done really well. No issues, no burrs, fitment, everything is really good. So I'm actually quite impressed. And I'm also quite surprised I have not heard of the brand. Let's show you a size comparison, do a writing sample, and go through likes and dislikes. So I pulled out a few pens that I thought were sort of close for size comparison. Diplomat Aero Lamy 2000, we got the Xezo Incognito. Waterman Expert 3 Pilot Metropolitan, and then this is the Platypus Model 1. And here are the pens if you like to write with a post-it, which I do as well. So they're all pretty close to each other. For the writing sample, I'm using this stuff I reviewed the other day. This is the Jinhao Blue I picked up on AliExpress. And then this little pad featuring the Cosmo Airlight 75 GSM paper. So my overall thoughts on the pen here, let's go through likes and dislikes. It's a really great pen. So the dislikes are pretty short, so I'm going to do that first. I would just, not that the packaging's bad, this is kind of neat, it does that, but what do we do after you get these? So if you're like me, you just have a large bin or box full of pen boxes that you really have no use for. You have a fantastic pen. I'm all about kind of minimizing packaging and just stuff. Or if you have something that comes in, either, have it built so you can chuck it into recycling or the compost. I've seen some even, they're compostable. You can't do that with this. So I would kind of just thin out this stuff a little bit. It doesn't really add on to the pen because you have a perfectly good pen. The polishing cloth is a nice touch. The fact that this is getting inspected and checked is great. This pen pouch it comes in, it's pretty cheesy. This isn't leather. I don't know what it is, but even the sound, it's got a kind of a cheesy sound to it. So yeah, I would just kind of ditch this thing, and even a lot of the packaging just have that stuff. And take a tip of the hat here I'm going to do to Gravitas. He does these little pen pouches, has his branding, engraving, all that stuff on there. But these are nice because it just comes in a bubble pack, and one of these with the cartridges too. He does a pack of cartridges just like they do. Here they are. So that's really great. All that really great stuff. But to me, this is more useful than a big fancy box, and you can't even, chuck it in the recycling. So I would just kind of reduce things a little bit. Again, that's just my personal opinion. But that's really the only kind of thing I don't like about the pen. Is not even the pen, it's just we can reduce the packaging. The pen itself performs great. I think the styling's good. The fit and finish, the lacquering, the paint on here, the polishing, fitment, writing, everything's really good. Actually, one other little thing too, they talk about the balance. It is, is a fairly heavy pen, and they say they have it balanced so it minimizes the pressure you have to put on the pen. It sort of does it because it's a little back weighted. Like this, it's fine. And my chair, I gotta get grease in this chair one day. It still squeaks all the time. But if you do post it, it fits well in my hand. And, I guess I have a bit of maybe a lower writing angle. But if you have a pen like this and you're not kind of resting it in the cradle or whatever, I could see it is back weighted, and that would not be pleasant for everybody. But for me, it's okay, but it does back weight the pen. But that does reduce, how much pressure you have to apply. But it is if they could adjust the balance, but you have a full brass pen, so that's a little tricky to do. This is going to be pretty heavy, but if they could maybe just reduce the back weighting, that would be nicer from a writing experience. But yeah, everything else on here, it's great. Again, I'm always a little skeptical on something brand new, but they really pulled through. I think it's a great pen. Big thank you goes out to Xezo for sending me their Incognito model pen for review. And thank you for everyone who's been watching. Hey, by the way, if you're watching and you have a Xezo branded pen, whether it's this one or a different one, give us some details down there in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from you how it's been going for you, because so far this one's great. I'm looking forward to seeing what the other pen, how it performs and all that stuff, because if it's anything like this one, I'll be pleasantly surprised as well. So it seems like a really well-made pen, and they care about their product. But hey, if you want to do something really interesting you haven't done before, there's this button down over here. I think it subscribes you to the channel. Apparently, it's really fun to do. So give it a press. And until then, we will catch you next time.